Hello friends, you may be wondering what's with the setup today. Well, I got a lot to get through, so I have to be looking at the script like the whole time. Today I'm going to be talking about the Japan Expo presentation that Sega had on Sunday. I'd like to thank Spike Play for telling me about it because I had no idea, and it was really long, but thankfully all the important stuff was at the beginning. So the game runner of Maimai is a guy called Koha-d, real name Kobayashi Ken. He's the director of Maimai Tunism and Ongeki and is the coordinator of Maimai Deluxe development. He writes proposals, thinks up new systems, directs production, decides new songs. He's like the main Maimai guy. At the beginning of the talk he showed his original concepts for the 3 games, which I thought was pretty cool, but then he got straight down to business regarding Maimai Deluxe. So what is Maimai Deluxe? It's a new machine, basically. What's new about it? The design, the camera, the monitor, the foundation, the earphone jack, the card reader, the touchscreens, and the speakers are all new. The machine is bigger and whiter and brighter, and there's a lot of behind-the-scenes changes that you can't see just by looking at the machine. A lot of people are asking, why did they change Maimai? You know, why fix something that's not broken? But it was pretty broken, it turns out. The machine was at its physical limits. The limits of the camera, of the casing, of the monitor. Like really old Maimai machines have a lot of dead pixels from being hit too hard. And you also can't buy new parts for the machine anymore because it's so old. So Sega had a really long internal discussion over whether to let Maimai slowly die, to keep maintaining the machines for as long as they could, or to remake it into something new. And they arrived at the conclusion that there is value in Maimai, and so they decided to save Maimai. They looked back at the last 7 years of Maimai and they decided they wanted to keep Maimai around for the next 7 years, or 10 or 15 years, and that's why they're making Deluxe. So why the name Deluxe? It is because it is a more robust and deluxe Maimai. I think they just looked up the definition of deluxe and thought that it sounded pretty cool. What's deluxe about it? The touch panels. I'm talking more touch panels. The current game isn't divided into 17 touch panels, so the whole screen isn't one touch screen. It's different parts. There's 8 around the outside, 8 in the middle, and 1 in the very center. The buttons are harder to break. The monitor is harder to kill pixels. It has an earphone jack. It has a brighter body that's bigger and whiter, and the top of the machine is more decorated. It's a nice touch. So will Maimai change? The basics are not changed. Koha-d said it's still a game where you touch and you slide around to music. The current note tracks will all more or less be included. This happens with every version upgrade. Some note tracks are taken out because of licensing agreements and stuff. Scores will be carried over, so everyone chill out. Not all the collection items will be carried over, but they're going to try their best to keep them all, and all the characters will return, so I guess they're talking about the milk characters, Salt, and the other ones. What will change? So there's 4 things that are going to change. The hold release judgment, which sounds weird, but I'll get into it. The new score system, the introduction of touch notes, and the introduction of X tap notes. So firstly, the hold release judgment. This is when letting go of the hold affects your score. Like as it is now, the timing of when you let go is important, but they're getting rid of that. So why is this? Sega's reasoning is that if you can do it, it's easy, but if you're learning, it's really hard, and getting rid of it will allow for more creativity in note tracks. Because Maimai's monitor is so big and you're so close up, it's easy to lose track of where your hands and the notes are. Although it's not a problem for high-level players, it's tough for beginners to look away from where their hand is on a hold note and look for the next one. This is unintentionally difficult, and furthermore, because of the release judgment, there has had to be strict rules about how holds are used in note tracks, leading to restrictions on creativity. The people who want this to be removed are the people who make the note tracks. They want to be able to introduce more people to Maimai, and they want to be able to be more creative when they're making note tracks. New score system. Why are they bringing in the new score system? So in the new system, all note tracks will have a highest possible score of 101.0000%. Scores below the clear threshold, I think, will be removed. So anything below 80%, I think. I'm not quite sure. Breaks will still be in the game. You will need to get 2,600 points on every break to get 101%. So that's a perfect timing, not a fast perfect or a slow perfect, but completely perfect. So if you did an all perfect run, but one of your breaks was only 2,500 points, that would give you a score of 100%, not 101. This is apparently similar to how it works in Tunism and Ongeki. Current scores will be converted to the new system when carried over. So this new system will be easier to explain to newcomers, and it will be more easy to understand the score. The reason why Maimai scoring is how it is because of of how lax and insufficient the original version of maimai was. They attempted to revise it in maimai Plus with the introduction of breaks, giving us the current score system, and although this is an interesting method, this means that theoretical scores, which is highest possible scores, are all over the place. Scores are hard to explain, it's hard to grasp the meaning of scores, and the clear percentages are lower than in more recent rhythm games. In particular, it's hard for tunethem players to grasp the meaning of maimai's high scores because it's seen as normal to get a score of over 100%. So if you went to a tunethem player and you said, hey, I got 103% on like Garakta Dollplay, I don't know if that's possible, but the tunethem player might just say, oh, that's cool, because they don't understand how maimai scoring works, and this makes maimai players sad. So koha-d wanted to make the system easier to understand, he wants to have more of a spread in scores, and above all, he wants to make it easier to understand the awesomeness of maimai, with maimai being the best rhythm game he's worked on. Sorry tunethem and ongeki players. So now onto touch notes. What are touch notes? They are a new kind of note, very controversial. They are when you have to tap, hold, or slide a certain place on the screen, not a button. I think it makes the screen look a bit busy and hard to read, and I don't think the squareness of the notes really meshes with all like the roundness of the game. And also in the footage that I've seen, they seem to have just taken note tracks that weren't made with touch notes in mind and replaced some of the notes with touch notes. I think maybe if a note track was made with touch notes in mind, maybe it could be cool, but I'm a bit underwhelmed with what I've seen currently. So why are they adding this? They are doing this in order to flesh out lower levels, since the spread of difficulty in maimai is so wide. In the 7 years of maimai's operation, the difficulty level and skill of the players have been increasing. As a result, Master has gotten harder, and to support that, Expert has also gotten harder, leading to maimai being more difficult overall. However, this doesn't mean that they want to make maimai easy or to make tracks that are hard but boring, so they developed touch notes as a way to freshen up the game and be able to make more interesting Expert and Master tracks. These touch notes will be used to increase variation, mostly in lower difficulty note tracks. In the survey conducted at the location test in December, 83% of people answered positively regarding the touch notes. This was out of 299 answers that they received about them. So overall, people liked them. Although in the pie graph, one of the options is didn't play them, so I'm thinking either you can turn them off or not all the tracks in the demo had touch notes in them. So real quick about the location test. The location test or demo or beta exists so devs can see the game in an arcade and see how the players feel about them in real life. As it is a test, there are many experimental features, and if the reaction to features is bad, they can change them. Ongeki was also changed a lot due to feedback from playtests. The location test was done to see how players would feel about a lot of different changes to maimai and out of wanting to hear players' opinions. So out of 560 responses to the survey, which was about 80% of people who played during the location test, 87% of respondents were satisfied with the game and would play again. The 13% of players who were unsatisfied were mostly high-level players, so the rate of satisfaction among beginner and intermediate players was pretty high. What parts are unsatisfactory? Regarding the gameplay, the visibility of touch notes, how long it takes to go through menus, in particular the map like in tunethem. I think they've added a map system where after a song you get a certain amount of points and you move an amount of places, and then once you get to the end you get an item or whatever. Things that weren't gameplay include the carrying over of score related data was something people were really worried about, and there was people who didn't dislike things in particular but just didn't want maimai to change. In response to the feedback, they changed the touch notes and they're assuring people that score data will be carried over, but to the people who didn't want maimai to change, there's not much they could have done. Like they said, the machine was at its limits and it was either let it die, kill it off, or make it something new. According to the survey, these were things that people liked about the new machine. The reading of the IMEI card, the brightness of the machine, the peripheral parts of the machine, the headphone jack, and the way it responded to touch input. Here's something I think is really interesting. So in the survey, they asked people where they were from, and the 5th largest group of people were from overseas. They weren't from Japan at all, which I think is pretty cool. Apparently some people flew to Japan on 3 days' notice to play in the location test. Next we have X-Tap. X-Tap is a different kind of note with a different sound effect that is easy to get a high score from. These notes give a high score even if the timing is off. They'd like to use this to implement big spins more casually, and will be explained more later online. They wanted to do this so even if the rhythm is complex, you can play and to have more fun with big spins. The designs of these notes have also been changed according to feedback from the playtest. Some more fun things that they changed. They are adding online versus play nationwide. I don't know how this will apply to maimai in countries like Korea and Indonesia, but at least in Japan you will be able to play with people all over the country, not just the person on the same same machine as you. You'll be able to change the judgment text from perfect, great, good to fast, late, and perfect. I'm not sure if that's in the game already, but that is at least something you will be able to have in maimai Deluxe. You can change the design of the outer ring of the main screen, you can change the timing of reaction animations, and it seems like you can take a picture to use as a profile picture. Also, the tutorial song is Ievan Polka now. Finally, koha-d said that maimai Finale will continue until summer, which in Japan is June, July, August, so at least until then, people will still be able to play old classic maimai. And then he gave us a preview of the new maimai theme song. At this point, they also introduce some of the bear characters that will be featured in the game. First is Ietikuma, I think there's a joke in here but I don't get it, who's voiced by Sugita Tomokazu, who is the voice actor of Gintama. Then we have Panda-kuma, who is voiced by Takayama Minami, the voice actor of Meitantei Conan. Then is Risukuma, who is voiced by Nakao Ryusei, the voice actor of Frieza from Dragon Ball. And then Mitsuyoshi-kuma, who's voiced by Mitsuyoshi Takenobu, who is a composer for Sega. Then he also gave a list of artists whose music is going to be used in maimai Deluxe. And that was mostly it. Right at the end of the 3-hour live stream, koha-d came back on stage and he said that it was like his first time talking that much in a presentation and that he had practiced a lot, and his presentation was, I think, 92 pages, he said, and it was his first time not talking about like game dev stuff, but talking to people about maimai, like talking to players about what maimai is like. And he was really scared to do so and actually started crying at that point. And it had been really tough for him working on Deluxe, and he was scared to go to work and scared to do the presentation. But like his love of maimai kept him going because he just wants people to be able to keep playing maimai. I don't know, I think he's a pretty good guy. So that's it. Tell me how you feel about the changes coming to maimai Deluxe down below. How do you feel about the new notes, the changes? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. I can't make like regular videos from maimai because I don't know when the new maimai news is coming out. It's kind of on a whenever it happens basis. So subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of my maimai journalism, as I'm calling it now. So yeah, comment down below and I'll see you in the next video.